Hi, and welcome to this session on viewing SQL details while performance profiling. My name is Peter Boring. So understanding SQL performance when troubleshooting in the cloud without direct SQL access can be hard. In this release, we add the ability to track SQL calls, both when using the in-client profiler in the web client, as well as when capturing snapshots from Visual Studio Code. This will help consultants and developers and support to faster identify and troubleshoot SQL issues in customer production environments, providing a better customer experience. Before we delve into SQL details in Profile, let's do a short recap of what profiling is. If you already used this, feel free to skip ahead according to the video chapters below. Around 2020, which feels like ages ago now, we launched the ability to capture so-called snapshots, a form of record and replay debugging in production environments, and capture those from within Visual Studio Code. This also allows capturing a performance profile to view where time is spent during AL execution. To empower consultants and end users in creating and analyzing performance issues directly within the web client, we launched the in-client profiler in 2022. And since then, profiling has become essential to identify application performance problems for customers, partners, and support, and is the main performance troubleshooting tool for partners. As a recap, you can open the tool from Help and Support with the Analyze Performance, or you can search for Performance Profiler in Tell Me. This opens a page that allows you to start and stop a recording of a flow of user actions in the web client that you want to investigate any performance issues in. And then once you stop the interactive recording, you can see the results and you can see which extensions were involved in the process, the total time spent in execution. You can identify extensions that might be slow. You also get a detailed breakdown by application objects and call tree to drill down into the final details. You can learn more in the link that you can also find below in the description. To make it easy and faster for customers, consultants, pro developers, partners, and Microsoft support to capture a profile and thereby lower manual collaboration and time to mitigate, we introduced scheduled profiles a year ago. And with these, you can capture performance profiles automatically and non-interactively in the background based on well-defined rules triggering the capture. The rules for when to capture profiles can be set up by a partner. The user can then just perform their daily tasks, and then the partner can come back and analyze the profiles afterwards. The scheduled profiles is now the recommended approach to profiling performance issues because it's so easy to set up and analyze afterwards. So, to learn more about scheduled profiling, you can view the launch event from last year, and you can find, again, the link in the description below. Now, AL profiling works great, but it's hard to investigate SQL performance without direct SQL access. Thus, in this release, we added SQL details in the performance profiles. And this helps consultants and developers to faster identify and troubleshoot SQL issues in customer production environments and lower then the time to mitigate and thus increase the customer satisfaction. So let's see how it works in practice. So we're now in the Business Central web client, and I'm going to use the scheduled profiling to capture a profile. So let me create a new profiler schedule. We'll call it just BCLE. And we'll activate it, we'll have it start today. Will just be me as a user, and we're going to log my activities in the browser. I'm going to set it to the smallest sampling mode and make sure that it logs small things. And then basically I've set up my scheduling. And so now I can go into something that I want to profile. So let's now trigger my flow. So I actually have a little helper function here that can help me do some work. So one of the things is to run a long-running query. So I'll set up and create a lot of records, and this will take 6-7 seconds. So we can see that in the profile. And now it's ready, and we can actually go and just clean those out as well, just to see some additional content. Okay, so let's go back to our profiles. So here we have the results from a couple of performance profiling runs. If we look at the bottom performance profile and we scroll a little bit, we can see that we spent a total of 9 seconds, but only a little more than 1 second running AL, right? Because most of the time, which we can now see in new columns, is spent in SQL calls. So about 6.5 seconds. We can see we did just over 60,000 SQL calls, so that explains the time spent. And also performance scheduling or scheduling performance profiling, you can also use that for outbound HTTP calls. You can also see the number of outbound calls and duration of those, but we didn't do that in this scenario. So we can actually drill down into this profile, and that will show the view, as you might be familiar with, on which extensions took part in this flow. We can show the technical information, which allows us to actually drill into the call tree here. And if we expand everything, you will now see that we have SQL information underneath, right? And if we drill further down or scroll further down, we can see that the majority of time, 6 seconds here, were used on an action for setting up on the page, where we insert a lot into the database, right? So this can actually help you troubleshoot SQL issues. And also, if we jump to Visual Studio Code, then you can see the same information in Visual Studio Code. We can hover over this and see the full SQL call, and we can click to copy it. To recap the demo, you can now see which calls are made to SQL during a performance profile, and therefore better assess whether bad performance is due to AL code inefficiencies or the resulting SQL calls. For schedule profiles in the Performance Profiles overview page, you can see the total duration of captured SQL calls in code. You can see the number of calls, and you can also see the duration of the platform calls. When drilling into a specific profile in the client, whether it's recorded from the interactive in-client profile or the schedule profiling, you can see the actual SQL calls that were made. And you can hover over them to see all of the query, and you can then copy it also. And SQL call information is also available inside of Visual Studio Code when you've done snapshots or just by importing the profiles. And you have to note that only sampling mode is supported, so this needs to be set for the Visual Studio Code snapshot capture. It's the only mode supported in client and therefore implicitly set there. So let's summarize the support. You can now see SQL query details in performance profiles. It's supported both in client in the interactive and schedule profiling, as well as in Visual Studio Code. And it's mapped to the parent AL call stack frames. In general, there's 2 performance scenarios that you might want to investigate. It could be understanding individual performance issues or bugs, why is a certain scenario slow. It could also be as part of developing, you want to basically instrument the code and understand each of the SQL calls that happens to be able to optimize as much as possible to handle scaling or looping over code many times. And so we have had a focus on the first scenario, on solving performance issues now. We only support the sampling mode, as I mentioned, not instrumentation. That means that you only get SQL information for the AL calls that are shown in the call stack as part of the sampling. But this aligns with the in-client profiling, which is sampling only. So, as usual, we have a lot of different Business Central resources that you can use. I already mentioned we have several videos on this topic on YouTube, and you can, as always, give us feedback on the ideas side. And you can follow weekly news and announcements on the Business Central page on LinkedIn. Thank you for watching this session.